Hello, everyone, and welcome to Karmic Patterns Vedic Astrology Podcast. Today is Friday, November 3rd, 2017, and the topic of today's podcast is the full moon that takes place tonight at 10:23 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time. I also have a special gift that I've been promising everyone, my Facebook friends and clients and listeners. I'll talk about that after I get done with the full moon forecast and share how you can get your special gift after the forecast. So the moon right now is already in its full phase, or what is called Purnima Tithi. And Purnima began at 1:17 a.m. PDT. Any full moon rituals can be done during this time, during Purnima Tithi, but the best time will actually be to do the ritual after the moon enters into Bharani Nakshatra at 2:58 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time. So anytime between 2:58 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time up until the actual fullest, brightest portion of the moon at 10:23 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time. So you'll have to convert to whatever time zone you're in. And part of the reason why I'm recommending Bharani Nakshatra for rituals is that Bharani is one of the best nakshatras for endings. And when you combine that with the full moon energy, there's a lot of confluence to support whatever endings you may want to accomplish, because full moons are endings. And you have to think too about the relationship of the sun and the moon during a full moon phase. During full moons, the moon is bright and strong, and the sun is in a weaker position. During the new moons, the moon is dark and the sun is strong. And then particularly if you think of the full moon, depending again on which hemisphere you live in. But if you have a full moon within the nighttime time frame, that's even going to be stronger because the light of the moon is going to be much brighter and much more visible during the nighttime. And that also applies to natal charts as well, but that's another podcast. So anyway, a great time for endings and doing any ritual. So let's take a look at the actual chart for this full moon. Let's see if I can get my screen to shift. There we go. So again, the full moon is falling within the nakshatra of Bharani. And you can see here, if I can, my cursor's not going to show. Let's see if, so you can see here in the sign of Aries, it's abbreviated at the top on the left-hand side in the South Indian chart, ARI for Aries, for those of you who are not super familiar with charts and Jyotish. And also, I just have to say, in my podcast, I try to give information for people who are new to Jyotish and just, wanting to learn more, for their own edification. I also try to give things, information that I share from teachers that I've had over the many years that I've been studying and practicing Jyotish that might be useful to more advanced students of Jyotish. So, for those who are new to Jyotish and just learning, there are some things that may not make sense to you, and I apologize for that. But I'm trying to walk the line and give a little something for everyone here. So I hope you all understand that. So a lot of basics and then some more advanced techniques as well. So in looking at the chart, you can see where the moon is falling within the sign of Aries at 17 degrees, 52 minutes, and within the nakshatra of Bharani. And if you look straight down from where the moon is, you can see the sun. So whenever the moon and the sun are exactly opposite in a chart like this, you can see that it is a full moon or very close to a full moon phase, which is a very bright moon. And then the sun, of course, is very weak within the sign of Libra. It's almost at its debilitation point within the sign of Libra. So the moon is extra strong tonight. And Bharani Nakshatra is, as I said, particularly good for endings, okay, completion. And that's because Bharani is ruled by Yama, the god of death. And we can think of death as, our literal physical death, or you can think of it as a metaphorical death. It is an excellent, excellent time to do any kind of cleansing rituals. The pada, or the part that this moon falls within, is in the Navamsha is Virgo. So again, particularly good for cleansing, because Virgo is the natural sixth house as calculated from Aries. So any health related ritual, any habit, or anything that you want to end so that you can begin something anew after this full moon, now is the time to do it. And one way you can do that is to write down on a piece of paper whatever it is that you want to eliminate from your life. Okay, what do you want to die? Or what do you want Yama to take away? And and cleanse and purify from your life. And so you can write that down on a piece of paper. And then, after we get into the nakshatra of Bharani, later on today, after 2:58 p.m., again today when the moon goes into Bharani Nakshatra, you can take that paper and burn it. And then I would also suggest, because with every ending, right, there's a beginning. So take and write down first what it is you want to end in your life, what you want to have in, as a completion, and what would you like to begin? What is that completion going to open up in your life? What space will it open up in your life for something to begin anew? So just a thought, but take that paper of the thing that you want to get rid of and burn it, and see what transpires over the next 2 weeks, right? Because we'll have 2 weeks before the new moon, as the moon begins to wane after tonight. So Bharani, there's a great story about Yama. For those of you who are not familiar, Yama, again, is the god of death, and he's actually the stepbrother to Saturn. Saturn is debilitated within the sign of Aries and within the nakshatra of Bharani. And a lot of this is related to the story that connects to Yama and Chaya, his mother, and the sun. So I'll just tell it briefly. It's more involved than what I'm going to share, but you can find some great stories online about them. But it's really important to understand these stories instead of just memorizing Saturn or Shani is debilitated at 20 degrees of Aries. Why is it debilitated at 20 degrees of Aries? And so the story is the sun's wife, Sanjana, went down to Earth to visit her father. She got a little bit tired of the sun. He was so bright and hot, and she needed a break. So in her place, she put a shadow of herself, Chaya. Chaya means shadow in Sanskrit. And so, of course, the sun, since it was, exact replication of herself, the sun didn't know. And, the sun's original wife, it gets a little complicated, had children with the sun. And then Chaya went on to have some children with the sun as well. And so Yama was the sun's child with his real wife, Sanjana. And once Chaya had children, one of which was Saturn, she began to favor her children over the children that the son had with his real wife. And Yama started to get angry about that. And, he felt that she was favoring the other children, and he went to kick her. And that didn't set well with Chaya. And so she put a curse on him. And so long story short, Yama went to his father and said, hey, this is not normal behavior for a mother. And the son figured out what was going on, and then a whole nother story ensues. But basically, that is where the connection between Saturn, right, the illegitimate child of the sun, and Yama are connected within this nakshatra of Bharani, and also the debilitation point of Saturn within the sign of Aries, where the sun is exalted. Okay, so the illegitimate son of the sun is debilitated in the exaltation point of where the sun is. And again, for those of you who are new to Jyotish, I apologize, but eventually it'll all sink in. I promise you. It just takes time. So Bharani Nakshatra, it's a powerful nakshatra for cleansing. It's a powerful nakshatra for transformation. And this nakshatra is connected to the crow. The bird that is associated with this nakshatra is the crow. So feeding crows today is particularly good, right? Crows are associated also, interestingly, with Saturn and the afterlife. So it is a good day to feed black sesame seeds to crows. And the animal that is associated with this nakshatra is the elephant, and the male elephant, actually, to be specific. And when I think of elephants, right, there's always a connection to Ganesh. And one of the things that I wanted to share with you today, the gift, is associated with Ganesh. So a little story about how this came about. One of my friends, Chavito Kawa, I hope you don't mind me mentioning you, Chavito. He asked me if I had any coloring books, because for those of you who don't know or who haven't seen our website, my husband and I are also yantra artists and practitioners. And the form that we practice is with sculpture. I originally started out learning from, a traditional teacher using watercolor and gouache and paper, but it eventually evolved into sculpture. But that's neither here nor there. But I didn't have a coloring page, so I decided that I would create one for him because he has this great course coming up. And so as I looked at the influences that were coming up and looked at this full moon and the connection to Ganesh, and certainly within the Harish Johari tradition, the first yantra that you would begin with, working with, is the yantra for Ganesh. So that's the yantra that I created for him and for all of you. And so I'm going to see if I can scroll to the next page on the side. So this is the Ganesh Yantra. This, again, is very traditional to the Harish Johari tradition. There are many other Ganesha Yantras out there. They're all terrific. This just happens to be the one within the tradition that I learned. And so I'm not going to get a lot into the details of yantras themselves, but I do want to share with you, for those who want to color this yantra, because I'm going to give you all a free download of the Ganesh Yantra, which is a line drawing, a black and white line drawing that looks just like this. And so I do want to share with you a little bit about how you can practice this. And since today is connected, to Ganesh through the animal symbol of of the elephant, the male elephant in the Bharani Nakshatra, it might be a good day to do it if you have time to add this to your new moon ritual. But yantras are powerful. They are devices that can really help move and shift energy when you chant the mantra. So, any Ganesha Mantra, the simple one is Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha. You can chant this mantra aloud or just in your mind as you're coloring in the yantra. And it helps to balance the right and left hemispheres of the brain. I've seen a huge difference in my psyche and just the way that I cognize things because of my practice with yantra. And you begin from the outside. So starting with the outer gold line, then moving to the yellow line, then moving to the green of the Burpur, which that's Bhupur, which is the green section outside the first circle. And then you would paint, you can use a colored pencil, or you can use felt pens, whatever you have, or paint if you have paint and paper. You could print this out onto for painting. Then you would do the gold line around the circle, then the silver. It appears gray here on the screen, but it really is silver. And then the lotus petals that look kind of like hearts. Those are kind of a crimson red. And then the gold line to the white circle, and then the red outline of the upward pointing triangle, which represents fire. And again, connecting to this fire ritual that you could have today at this full moon phase. Then the orange triangle, then the outline of the yellow star, 6-pointed star that represents Shiva and Shakti, the upward pointing triangle, again, fire, and Shiva, the downward pointing triangle, water and Shakti. And then the Bindu in the center, which is gold. So I will post a link in the comments of the YouTube video, but the download will be at yantramandalastore.com. That's YANTRAMANDALA store, STORE.com. That's all one word. But like I said, the link will be in the bottom, and I hope you all enjoy it and have fun. Ultimately, it's great to be able to draw your own yantra, but this is a great place to begin. For those of you who might be like me, I was not strong with geometry, and it was quite a process to learn how to do this because that was not my strong suit. So a good place to begin is just coloring the yantra, chanting the mantra, and I hope to do some podcasts on yantras specifically, but this is a wonderful way to begin and a great way to tie into this full moon phase. So thanks everyone for tuning in. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe. I'm just starting to do these podcasts on YouTube versus on SoundCloud. So this is where the podcast will reside going forward. And hit the like button and share. This gift is for everyone. So you can tell your friends about it, and they're welcome to download it. I will say on our store site, there's a zero cost on it. You have to go through the checkout process to get the digital download, but there won't be any requests for credit card or funds or anything like that. It looks like you're going through a traditional checkout process, but there will be nothing asked of you with regard to payment. I just had to say that in case anyone got confused about that. So if you have questions, don't hesitate to contact me or write comments below in YouTube. Thank you again, and happy Purnima. Have a beautiful day.